So let's start with a really basic question, one we think we know the answer to. Where do we actually come from? And no, I'm not talking about your family tree. I mean the physical stuff, the actual atoms that make you, you. You'll see, the answer is way more surprising than you might think. You know, we all learn in school that we're a mix of our parents' DNA, right? And that's totally true, but it turns out it's only half the story. If your DNA is the set of instructions, like a blueprint for a house, where do the actual building materials come from? You know, the atoms in your bones, your heart, your brain. That's the puzzle we're going to solve. All right, so let's start with the part we're all familiar with, our genetic blueprint. Just think of it as the master code, the super detailed instructions that basically dictate everything from the color of your eyes to how your cells are supposed to work. And it all kicks off at fertilization. This is that incredible moment where a sperm cell from the father and an ovum or egg cell from the mother fuse together. And that fusion creates one brand new single cell. It's called a zygote. So you've got the sperm cell carrying the dad's genetic info and the ovum carrying the mom's. When they finally unite, that's it. The zygote is formed. And this one microscopic cell contains the complete, totally unique genetic blueprint for a brand new person. Okay, but here's where things get interesting. A blueprint is absolutely essential, right? But you can't build a house with just the paper plans. You need the actual raw materials, the bricks, the wood, the concrete. So if our DNA is the blueprint, where are the building blocks? And this is the million-dollar question. I mean, think about it. A zygote is microscopic. You can't even see it. But a newborn baby weighs, several pounds. All of that mass, all that actual physical stuff had to come from somewhere. The DNA gives you the how, but it doesn't give you the what. So where does all that matter come from? The answer is so beautifully simple, and it all points to one single incredible source: the mother. Seriously, every single atom that makes up a newborn baby, apart from the tiny, tiny bit of DNA from the sperm cell, comes directly from the mother. It's built from the food she eats, the water she drinks, and yep, even the air she breathes. These are the literal physical raw materials for a new human being. And the process itself is just mind-blowing. The mother's body breaks down all those proteins, fats, and carbs into their most basic molecules and atoms. Then, these little building blocks are shuttled through her bloodstream right to the developing fetus, all ready to be assembled. So now we've got our two essential components, right? We have the genetic instructions from the DNA, and we have the physical building blocks from the mother. So now it's time to start construction. And there's a really clear division of labor here. The DNA, it's like the project manager. It's giving all the orders, directing the whole operation. Meanwhile, the nutrients, the food, the water, the air, they're the physical stuff that actually gets turned into bones and muscle and all your organs. And that really brings us to the core idea. If you take one thing away, let it be this: your DNA is the architect, but the food your mother ate, that provided the bricks. You are quite literally built from the world around you, just assembled according to a one-of-a-kind genetic plan. But wait, the story doesn't end there. Not even close. If your atoms came from food and water and air, well, where did they come from? And this is where the story suddenly zooms out from biology to, well, the entire cosmos. To get this next part, you have to know about a fundamental law of physics, the conservation of matter. It basically says that atoms are ancient. They don't just pop into existence out of nowhere. They're just constantly being recycled and rearranged into new things. So stop and think about what that really means for a second. Every single atom that makes up your body, right now, has been around for billions of years. For eons, like billions of years, these exact same atoms have been on an unbelievable journey. They've been parts of mountains, they've been in the deep ocean, they've been in the air we breathe, they've cycled through plants, been eaten by animals, and returned to the earth over and over and over again. And yeah, this is the really cool part. It means some of the carbon atoms in your hand right now, they might have been part of a T-Rex 70 million years ago, or a Roman centurion, or even a star that exploded billions of years before that. You are, quite literally, made of stardust and ancient history. So you're these two incredible things all at once. You're a unique genetic blueprint that has never existed before in the history of the world.
And you're also a collection of ancient atoms that have been on this epic journey through time. The atoms are just borrowed, really. So the final question is, what remarkable things will you assemble them into during your chapter?